Hello, everyday leaders. Tonight is Thursday, and it is November the 12th. Here we go, marching through the days. It seems like it is just flying now, the end of 2020. So, tonight I have an amazing leader. And you know what we say about everyday leaders are changing the world. And again, tonight I'm bringing you somebody absolutely incredible that I connected to during COVID-19 on one of these networking groups, and we just connected from the heart.
Mhm.
And many times, those of you that have been following me know that the Everyday Leaders platform has been developed to help people with developing strategies to overcome everyday obstacles. And so, as we are intentionally connecting through COVID, finding the people that are in our inner circle to build our values and our confidence, this is exactly the process, right? This is exactly the process of what I want to share with you. So, Barbara Scorza, thank you so much for coming on tonight and helping us get empowered about our life and sharing your story.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a real joy. I feel very honored and blessed.
You know, you reached out to me. We were on a networking group with Michael Anderson. Now let's go back because it's like, okay, so how did you know Michael? Well, I knew Michael through, if anybody could guess this, I'd give him $1 million. They will. They'll say, Chip Baker. Yes. All right. It's Chip Baker. So, so Chip said, hey, you need to know Michael. Michael and I connected. I brought him on here. We talked about Grow Buffalo Business. And I was amazed that they've put this group together through COVID-19, and it has over 1,400 members.
Hmm.
And just amazing. So he and Chip and I have been doing some things, and the great thing is that that he invited me on for their 10-minute kickoff call on a Monday, and then he said, "I'm bringing Chip on for a program." So I signed on that night just to support Chip, my friend, my heart, and that's where you signed on.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's right. I had found I was looking just as we're in the midst of COVID, looking for, ways to continue to grow. And I found that particular Grow Buffalo. I don't live anywhere near Buffalo, but I was very interested in the presentation that night, which was about positive leadership. So I had actually had a really rough day that day and had thought maybe I just won't do this. But then in the last minute, because I even logged in late, but at the last minute I got on and I am so grateful I did. I mean, the presentation was wonderful, but Chip talked about when he had started and how you had helped him and you had gone on his podcast. And then one of the last things Chip said was, go get it, which is what he says all the time.
Yes,
So
he
it
does.
was at that moment I decided that I'm going to reach out to that guy. I'm going to go get it. And from
Amen.
there, I figured I'd reach out to you. So it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. I love those kinds of calls. And when you start developing your inner circle and you really start just thinking, what if? What
Hmm.
are the possibilities?
Hmm.
That's when it happens, right? Because then we say everything in our life is what if.
Right.
And we start that mindset changes. And so I love when you reached out to me because we started talking about the stories of Chip and
Hmm.
how positive his
Right.
success chronicles and just the things that he believes. And so if you don't know Chip, if you haven't met him yet, oh, check him out.
Yes. Yes.
And you'll just love it like we do. And so talking about what if, Barbara, I got to get into this because you are originally not from where you live right now.
That's correct.
You tell us about your story and your background because I love this concept of what if. What if you did? What if you had the ability to think differently? And your business now is What If Christ?
Right.
And so help us really connect to your story because I think this is so powerful for people.
Sure. I'm originally from New Orleans, and I lived in New Orleans up until 2005 when Hurricane Katrina came through. So even in that moment, the leaving was a God thing, like a huge God thing. I live in New Orleans. We leave just about every year for some hurricane or another. And then when I would leave, we just try and pick places that we haven't been before because we're usually back in a weekend or so. So this particular season, I it felt different, but never in my wildest dreams did I imagine it would be what it was. But it did feel different. So my story in that, how I ended up where I am, is I had gone to bed that night and I was before I went to bed, trying to decide where I was going to go. I figured we'd go for the weekend, just trying to figure out where I'd go. And I had made up in my mind I wasn't going to go east nor west. So I wasn't going to Texas and I wasn't going to Georgia. So I decided I would just head north. And I did. And I ended up in Arkansas.
Mm. Mm.
I left my house a Sunday morning and ended up actually went to Memphis first. And that Monday, and the weather was expected to, they were expected to get bad weather as a result of it. I'm like, we've come this far. We're not going to get stuck without electricity. So we go a little further. And then at this point, we ended up in Arkansas, in Cabot, Arkansas. This is Monday morning. By Tuesday, the levees had broken, and I knew that I wasn't going to get home anytime soon. So God just started connecting dots. I literally went to the office. When I had arrived in Cabot, I had paid for the hotel room. This is Monday. I paid through Wednesday. So after the levees broke, I figured Wednesday I needed to go back and pay for. I'm not really sure what I was thinking, but I'm like, I'll go pay through Saturday. Not that I would be able to go home then, but I'll go pay through Saturday. So I go in the lobby and I pay the guy through Saturday. And I'm walking out of the lobby and the guy says to me, "You have a phone call." First of all, no one knows I'm there. So how can I have a phone call? But in the midst of that, God was just working things out because I had come out of that lobby and I had literally said to God, because he had reminded me of Jehoshaphat when he was facing the army, and he told Jehoshaphat, just go stand, take your position. This battle isn't yours, it's mine. So coming out of that lobby, I literally surrendered. God, I've done what you told me to do. Now what? And then I get a phone call. So lots of little pieces in there, but from there, God directed me to North Little Rock. So that's where I am now. I'm in North Little Rock, and I've been here since 2005.
Wow.
Yes. And how to transition to the what if. A couple years ago, my church was going through a church split, and it still feels difficult to even say those words. But my church was going through a church split, and things were really hard. And I found myself every day asking God, okay, God, am I released? Or am I supposed to go? Am I still supposed to be here? Do I need to, did I count the cost? Did I not,
Mm.
go to build a temple and didn't count the cost? Am I supposed to be here? So this one day I had gotten up, and that's what I'd been saying all day. I had read that scripture and that had been going through my mind all day. So I left work again, God. I left work and I was heading to the movies. I was going to go see Aladdin. So I'm in my car and I left work a little later than I should have. And I'm driving and I see something in the street, but I can't miss it. And I hit it. My car never swerves. I never lose control of it. But I had rolled over a piece of wood and had completely blown out my tire. So I felt like God was saying to me, if counting the cost is what you're hearing, let me give you something to count.
Mm.
You go get that tire fixed. And even in the midst of that, I get off the interstate and there's this guy who pulls up to my car, just a little guy. He gets out and he says, do you need some help? I said, well, I was going to call AAA. He said, I can change it if you have a spare. So he changes my tire and I said to him, I don't have any cash, but I'd love to go in and use my debit card and get some gas for you. And he said, I didn't ask you if you needed help because I needed help. I asked you if you needed help because you look like you needed help.
Mm.
And I just knew that that was God speaking to me. So from there, I ordered some shirts that said, "What if Christ?" So I would wear these shirts every day because I figured when things were not going well, I was just going to look down and then look up.
Mm,
So I would remind myself, and then I'd look up to him for strength. And it was like, what if Christ? And that story is what propelled me to my what if stories. And then I sit in it. And a year later, and then in the midst of COVID in July, it was like he said to me, I need you to be telling those stories.
mm.
And that's my what if Christ, to be able to share stories of hope, stories of encouragement, stories where people can see God working in the midst of their everyday lives. Because he's always working, he's always speaking. We're just not always listening and not always looking.
Mm. The platform and you say, "What if Christ?" Right? And that's what happens is you get this inspiration to say, "I need to show up bigger." He's
Hmm.
talking to you, but
Hmm.
you're not listening. And
Hmm.
he's providing this pathway where you say, "Well, I thought I was listening, but what happened last time? Well, I don't remember. Or I got distracted. There's a lot of noise," right?
Right.
And in today's world, hi, Jeannie. Yes, ambassador of hope. Yes, she says, "Hello, it's nice to meet you." I'll put her on the screen here, Jeannie Holzbacher. She is awesome. She's up here
Hello.
in Cincinnati area. Um,
Nice to
but
meet you.
but yes, it is those God moments, right, where you
Mhm.
say, "Okay, you've tapped me on the shoulder now, and I'm trying to listen, and I'm trying to be obedient, but I'm really not hearing you."
Right,
And so when you say, what if Christ could move in you and through you
right,
to really be patient and kind and listen to things that are happening
right,
in the world to share those greatness, right?
right. Absolutely. And that's what I say when I think about what if, it's like, what if we did the right thing because it was the right thing to do? Didn't think about it, didn't plan for it, didn't set out, but I knew it was the right thing to do. What if we could see God's will being done on earth as it is in heaven? Being able to see those things. What if we would notice that when those things align, we know that it wasn't our doing, but it was God.
It was God. It was God. I'm so honored to know you because so many people on this journey, it's like when we open our hearts, people just kind of appear, right? It's that law of
Mhm.
attraction, but he puts people on our path to help us identify the things that we're doing to validate and to make us stronger together. And,
Right.
and I think that's what is continuing to happen, on all of our journeys
Yeah.
that we have to really step out and say, "Look, don't be afraid. There's so many things to be fearful of right
Right.
now, especially this year."
Right.
And if we can just be patient and listen and take that control over that fear and feed our faith, that's where it's gonna really happen, isn't it, Barbara?
Absolutely. That's exactly where it's going to happen. And, the world has gotten us so confused and tossed up. We think that we have to be strong. Well, God says it's in your weakness that He's strong.
Mm,
And we think that, I have to be in control. And God says, just bring it all to me and leave it there. So the world gets us all mixed up, but we have to, right, feed our faith, like you said,
mhm.
being able to recognize that my responsibility is to do what God tells me. And when I do that and listen, I don't even have to worry about it. When I first came here, I remember one of the things that was a real stickler to me was I didn't have any family here. God literally directed us here. And the only people that were here were the people that came in my car that I knew. And, I remember thinking, what if I can't get to the school to pick the kids up?
Mm.
I guess they'll have to call the police. I mean, I don't have a friend that I could call and say, hey, I'm running late, you know, but I was worried about what was out there when I
Mhm,
only needed to be concerned about what he told me the next step was. Because as long as I took the next step that he ordered, I knew I would be okay.
mhm. Man, that is a big lesson because we all fear that, right?
Right.
How am I going to do it? And Simon Sinek, I follow him so much and I talk about him so much because he really makes it so simple. and when he talks about leadership and owning our own decisions,
Mhm.
it is taking care of the things that we need to take care of, and then
Right,
everything else will fall into place. So
right,
understanding our why, if it is to be followers of Christ and God and the steps and listening, and
right.
then the how will work itself out.
Mhm.
And it is
Absolutely.
absolutely transformational when that just kind of switch happens, right?
That's right.
We go, "Oh, yeah, that's what that is."
That's right. Right. It takes all the burden off you. You know, I don't have to walk around carrying this weight on my shoulder trying to figure it out. All I
Mhm.
have to do is walk around with attentive ears and heart, and then he'll show me what to do.
Mm, amazing. Tell me about some of the things that you're working on right now. I am going to bring up, I know that on StreamYard, I'm able to share. So I would like to share your blog site so that people can see what you're doing because you have these amazing stories and interviews of what if Christ moments.
Right.
And so I'd like to just kind of change the screen here for just a second. And I'm going to share your blog. If you can kind of take us through, you'll see it here too. And if you can kind of just walk us through the things that you have put together on this blog, because it's
Sure.
really, really amazing. I have Chip here because I
Yes,
was, I was watching that. So at the very beginning, here's how it starts when you sign right onto the blog.
that's right. And I have the little tagline that, share a story, save a life. We never know how our story is gonna touch someone else. Like I said, when I was on the Grow Buffalo call, Chips, go get it. He says that all the time.
He does.
But for me, it was transformational.
Mhm.
So, and because he says it all the time, I don't know if everybody that hears it takes it the way I took it. But for me, it was transformational. It really spoke to me. So, I said, share a story, save a life. And we all have a God story. We all have one because even if we're not trusting God, we still have God's stories because God's arms are wide open for us. So, on my site, that's what I want to introduce people to. And then my blog is the first thing that's there. I actually had, when you came to my blog site, when you came to the website, I had my product page there. And then
Mhm.
I realized that that's not what I want people to see. I want people to see the stories.
Mhm.
If the product's okay, but for me, it's more about the stories. So on that page, as you get there, I have blog posts and I do a post every week. And what I do is I reach out to people, I put information up asking people to reach out to me, and then I schedule an interview and sit and I talk with them and I hear their what if stories. I
Mhm.
hear about their when they met Jesus, how their life has changed since they met Jesus, and then share a what if story to help people see that God is working in all of these things. And I actually interviewed Chip.
Mhm.
So Chip is this week's blog post. And then I create a blog post based on what I've heard. And I enter that. So what you read is not all that you'll hear when you listen to the story. It's really my turn of it, like what I felt when they were speaking to me. So I write that blog post, but then I actually share the entire interview via YouTube. So you can go and hear the entire interview. And on one of those blog posts, I even have a story that says why I do this, you
Mhm.
know. So,
Mhm. That's amazing, and I want to encourage people. I'm gonna put the, link here. I've gotta switch screens here real quick, but I want to share, your contact information. So if you have a story, right? This is the thing. If you have a what if Christ moment, and you have a story that you wanna share with Miss Barbara, you can reach out to her, and here's her email address. So when this is going, if you're watching it live or you're watching this on the replay, you can let us know that. But also reach out to Barbara and just tell her thank you for what she's doing because, it takes all of us to be encouragers right now. And so Barbara at whatifchrist.com is how you can reach her. And I would love to see your email blow up.
mm, me too.
because we need encouragement right now, and
Absolutely.
we need to share that, 'cause
Absolutely.
it starts with us, right?
Right. Absolutely. It has to start with us. Especially when I think about Christ followers. I mean, we're the ones who are supposed to be able to see the world differently. The circumstances doesn't necessarily change, but who's with us is what makes the difference because, it's one thing to walk through the dark alone. Now, if I have to walk through the dark, if I'm walking with someone, I'm still walking through the dark, but it doesn't feel as scary.
Mhm,
So we have to be the ones to see life differently and be able to help people understand that, this is going to be okay because God is still in control. And just to say, everybody has a story.
mhm.
And I'm even willing to help you identify your story. Because, like I said, there are many times where things are happening. And I'll give a real quick example. When we had first moved here, we were living in these apartments that were right next to the interstate. And all you heard was cars and trucks all the time, cars and trucks. So this particular morning, I'm combing my granddaughter's hair, and she says to me, "Do you hear those birds?" I didn't hear any birds. All I heard was cars and trucks. I didn't hear the birds until she said, "Do you hear the birds?" And
Mhm.
when she said that, I could clearly hear the birds. So that's just we all have a story. And sometimes we just need people to help us see the story.
Mhm.
So it's not if you have a story, it's let's share your story because
Mm,
I know you have one.
mhm. Let's share your story. And then that's so important, and I'm so if people don't know, if you haven't listened to this, Everyday Leaders platform before, I'm a person of faith and I'm part of the John Maxwell team. And so part of joining that group is having all of these amazing people that are in the same mindset. And he is a person of faith and he challenges you to go back and tell your story, write your story. There's a book that he says oh my goodness, I forget the name of it, but it's the untold story or the most important story of your life. And it's you open it and you're like, oh, what's it going to say? It's a blank journal,
Mm,
right? Because it's your story.
right.
And
That's
so
wonderful.
it is wonderful. And when you go back and connect the dots and you realize that you were designed for this purpose, and when you understand what the value in that is,
Right.
you start to see the world differently.
Right.
And
Right.
then you start to change from the inside and your heart begins to explode and you wanna show up and add value. And
Mhm.
so if I challenge everybody, if you're watching this, if you're on this journey and you're struggling and, with anything through COVID-19, or if there is a situation that you're saying, "I just don't know how to deal with this, because I can't see that God moment," right?
Mhm.
Uh, that's why we're here. So I want you to think about that, think into that, and if you need help, reach out to Barbara and talk through this what if Christ could be involved in your life moment.
Mhm. That's
Mhm.
right. And like I said, when we see life that way, like what if Christ, if we take the focus off of ourselves and we see life as what if Christ, I mean, you'd be surprised the strength you walk away with because now you're not walking in your own strength. You're
Right.
walking in his strength and he is all powerful. So you definitely can just step into it.
Amen.
Mhm.
We are Christ followers. We need to keep God first in our
Yeah.
lives. Yes, ma'am.
Amen.
And
Amen.
and I wanna share, Gigi here says, "Amen. God speaks to us. We need to get quiet and listen."
Mhm. Yes.
Mm,
Yes. That's
so
so
true.
true. Mhm. Mhm.
Powerful, powerful.
Absolutely.
So, last year, and many people that have been watching, I did some recaps of our Bible study that we've been following, but I wanted to share this because, John Maxwell challenged everybody last September, and he said, "If you hadn't studied Proverbs before or in a long time, to start reading Proverbs 1 through 31, pick a month, 31 days." And what happened to be September last year. So I said, well, okay, I'm really going through a crazy time. I need some consistency in my life. So I thought every morning we'll start a devotional, and we did. And it's grown and it's amazing. And so we studied Proverbs last October. And Then that was in 2019. So in 2020, we celebrated 1 year of learning this Bible devotional, this leadership Bible. And so, I brought a copy. This is actually my husband's, but, um, but John Maxwell has a leadership Bible because, it's studying these principles, and I talk about the consistency in our lives, right? When we show up
Mhm.
1% at 100% effort,
Mhm.
1% extra every day compounds into that 37% greater opportunity for us to improve our lives. At the end of a year, that is 37%. And so if you could, invest in anything, have that
Mhm.
great of a return, right? And so a devotional is one of those ways that you can do it by yourself or you can do it with
Right.
others.
Right.
And so I wanna encourage you because there are so many people that have hopped on, when they could or when their kids were doing different things or when they had a little bit of time. And so people need this. People need
Absolutely.
support more than anything right now.
Yes.
And it just doesn't take much. Sometimes it's just listening or saying, "Let's pray about it," or "Can I pray for you?" or "How are you feeling?"
Right.
Simple things, right?
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that we are designed for community.
Mm,
You know, we were never meant to do this alone, never. I mean, even in the very beginning, God was walking through the garden with them. So we were never designed to do this alone. So much so that when Jesus died, he said, "Listen, this is better that I go because I'm going to leave an advocate that's going to live inside you."
mm,
So we were never, ever intended to do this journey alone. So we need people, we need one another where we can encourage one another, study God's word together, learn God's truth, just be there because every day is not going to be a good day,
nope.
but every day, well, I actually, when my mom was sick, I decided that I would not say that there were bad days. When my mom was sick, I decided that every day was a good day. It's just that some days were better than others. So we'll have some good days and then we'll have some better than other days.
Mhm.
So, but even in that, when you have somebody else there with you, the days don't feel as dark. It doesn't change it, but you know that you're not in it by yourself. So
Mhm.
it changes the perspective of the day.
Absolutely. I wanna read just a passage here from the Leadership Bible because I
Mhm.
it spoke to me as we were getting ready to get on this call. So I opened it up, and it was one that, so we studied Proverbs again in October, and then we went to Corinthians. And so, this says, and I'm gonna put this on here for anybody that is looking to join,
Mhm.
our Bible study. We meet at 7:30 AM Eastern every day. And so if you have time, you can hop on anytime, and you can go to everydayleaders.com, and it's right there on the devotional. You just click on the Zoom link, and we'll let you right in. So this was a passage from a couple of days ago. This was First Corinthians 1, and it's referencing verse 10. And it says, in the leadership Bible, it's a breakout here, and it says, responsibility. Leaders assume responsibility to build community. And so, very simply, it says, good things happen when leaders take responsibility for creating an organization, atmosphere, and culture. And it says they create three things by doing this. And this is what you're doing, Barbara. It says a sense of destiny. We are here by God's design to do his work.
Yeah. Yes.
Second thing, right? It says a sense of family. So it says we're in this together,
Mhm.
right? What we've been talking about. And the
Mhm.
third thing is a militant spirit. So we must get the job done at any cost.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Amazing, right? I was
That
like,
is so
I
amazing.
opened right to this and I thought, I have to share this with you because so many things that we learn and that speak to us. And this
Mhm.
is how our mindset works, right? And we're here to help and support and build community. So, yes,
I
it's
love
wonderful.
that. And I love that militant attitude that we're gonna get this done. I I love that. I mean, that says so much, and especially when you couple it with being arm in arm with that community that you're going with.
Mhm. It's never giving up, right? Because like you
Right.
said, some days aren't perfect
Right.
and some days are better than others.
Absolutely.
But what we have to realize is it's our design and our purpose, and we continue to follow our why.
Mhm.
And our why is our design by God. And
Mhm.
so knowing that should give us calmness and a sense of identity so that
Right.
we can carry on and do good in the world.
Right. Right. And, being focused with a purpose.
Mm.
If we know that purpose and then we stay focused on it, then we can get there. You know, and sometimes it may even be taking two steps forward and one back. But if we keep our eye there, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Mm. Miss Barbara, how can we support you? What are you working on next? What can we do besides just reach out to you at your email address? And I'm going to put it back up here because I want people to know if you've just jumped on, if you're watching this at the end, if you're looking at the translation here on YouTube. But Barbara at whatifchrist.com, if you have a story that you would like to share, please reach out to her
Mhm.
and she will interview you for your What If Christ moment.
Right. And that's the biggest thing. I just really feel that God has called me to this, and calling me to this, I just feel like I have to do this. So my biggest thing is connecting with people, being able to build that community and connect with and help people see their stories, and that's my goal. I'm always, the people I talk to, they'll tell me, I don't care what we talk about, you're going to bring it back to God. I'm like, yeah, sorry, because Jesus is the center. But
Mhm.
being able to see Christ in everything, and I just love to that you would pray that, I stay the course and I don't get discouraged when, I don't have anyone to interview, or nobody has come up and said that or people are, well, I can't do it right now. That I just not be discouraged, because that means that God has another plan for that week. He doesn't I believe this is the goal. So for that particular week, it just means that he has another plan.
Mhm. And amazing, right? So when you thought about your plan of being in New Orleans and saying, "I'm not sure where it goes next," it's having that faith and trust
Right.
to know that it will work out
Absolutely.
and you will be protected.
Absolutely. And that's how I feel. Like, I mean, I feel like that Wednesday when I came out of that hotel room and paid, and I literally felt, I liken it to somebody taking a glass and dropping it on the concrete. So pieces just splattered everywhere. You know that you can't get it all back together. So you just have to rely on, "Ugh, so what do I do now?" And that's what I did. Okay, God, I'm broken. So I need you to put me back together.
Mhm.
And that's what he did. And he did in amazing ways. I do a Bible study with some women, some single moms here, and God has, I mean, it's just so amazing that, I'm here in a new place. I didn't grow up here. I was way into my adulthood when I got here, but God has connected me with resources that people who've lived their whole life here will
Mm.
call me and ask me for things. But so that's how I know that this is what God had for me.
Mm. It's amazing. I'm just it is a God moment because
Mhm,
when Chip connected me to Michael and Michael put this together and then he said we're doing this program and then like you, oh my gosh, Chip's on, I need to go and support him and I need to do this and I need to show up and do this. And then we
mhm,
connected.
mhm.
It's
That's
doing that
right.
one intentional thing that
Mhm.
something's pulling you.
Right,
That's that tap on the shoulder that says
right.
God's taking you a place that you need to go.
Absolutely.
You need to listen, right?
Mhm.
Put whatever it is down and listen to that and take that initiative because those things change your life.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
And do it, and like when you hear God saying something, stop. Like, God is super important. So if he's speaking, we want to hear. I don't you remember that commercial when E.F. Hutton speaks, everyone listens. When God is speaking, we want to hear. So
Mhm.
stop. It doesn't matter what we're doing. And if he prompts you to do something, do it. I mean, I've gotten to the place where if he prompts me, and I need to make a phone call or send a text to somebody, if I have to pull over on the side of the road, I'm going to do it because I believe that God is the God who sees everything. So he's putting all those pieces together, and I don't want to be the missing puzzle piece. I don't want him to have put all that together and had planned for me to be here, and then I still back here someplace. So
Mhm.
I don't want to be the missing puzzle piece.
You are not, Miss Barbara. You are awesome. I love you. I am so glad we connected. I thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight,
Thank
and
you
I
so
know my phone's gonna blow up with, "Now how do I get a hold of her?" Because you're gonna be on the network now for all kinds of podcasts because,
much. That's wonderful.
it's important. It's important that we get
Absolutely.
this word out and support each other. So,
Absolutely.
do you have any words for us? How you are showing up to feed your faith that everyone can take away?
Right. Well, what I want to say is to make sure that for me, give God his time first. Because when we give God his time, he'll make time for the rest.
Mm,
Oftentimes we'll think that I have this, but we can't do any of that without him. So we want to give God his time first. So I encourage everyone to spend, even if it's just a few minutes, but connect with God before you do anything else. And just watch, trust him, watch and see what he'll do in your life.
mm.
And when you're listening, you'll be surprised the places, oh, the places you will go.
Oh, the places you will go from Dr. Seuss
That's right.
and from Barbara Scorza.
The Dr. Seuss. That's right. I bought my kids that book. Oh, the places you will go. So,
Wow. Now it sounds like you need to write one of those from a spiritual context, right?
mhm.
Amazing. You heard it here, right? This is how things happen.
That's right.
This is our napkin in the restaurant.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, amazing. Well, Barbara, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I really want to remind everyone, the purpose of this platform is to help you develop those strategies that you are struggling with in your life and to overcome those obstacles. So, anyone in this Everyday Leaders platform is here to really encourage and help you on your journey. And if there's anything that any of us can do, please reach out. And you know what I'm going to say next? Everyday leaders change the world. So go out and make a plan to do that for your life and add value to the world today. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you
Have
for having
have
me.
a great week and please come back and visit us.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.